Welcome to the Rainmaker Multiplier on Demand, a podcast for leading financial professionals, or rainmakers, and their teams that offer support for securing a successful future. From marketing help to staffing structure, listen and subscribe for actionable insights from advisors and skilled professionals alike.
I'm very, very happy to be with you today. As she mentioned, please be sure to post questions in chat. And I'm happy to be talking about one of our resources that C2P advisors and team members have access to is C2P Central. So you find it at c2pcentral.com. It's got resources in it like access to Mentor Connect. Side note reminder, all advisors in good standing have 2 calls per month for not only advisors, but also team members that can be split among whomever. And we have access to great mentors, and that's all found via C2P Central. That site also lists upcoming events, frequently used documents, podcast links, info on books, and all kinds of things like that. It's a one-stop shop for those sorts of things. But what we'll be focusing on within the LMS within C2P Central is our LMS. What that stands for is Learning Management System. Sometimes you'll hear it called e-learning. Whatever the case may be, our LMS provides access to e-learning 24/7. Whenever you need content, it's available in C2P Central. And it was recently updated to include all the resources I mentioned, making it that one-stop shop, and also the learning management system. All those e-learning courses are much more user-friendly than they used to be. Something that's really fun is you can look it up by type of program. So if you're interested in learning anything about marketing, you can go to the marketing drop-down and see all of the courses, or practice management, or holistic planning, or whatever the case may be. And also it includes paths for different types of users. So for example, if you're an ops person really focused on PCA, you can drop down and see everything PCA related, or everything marketing related, or everything advisor related, or also everything client services related, which is what we're going to focus on now. We're going to focus on those courses for team members to do exactly what Maeve alluded to at the introduction, which is just training up your team members using it. So with that said, I'm very happy to introduce our baristas today. So first we have Carl Smith, who's C2P's ambassador. I feel like Carl needs no introduction, right? You've been on here before. You're always front and center with our advisors and offices. And I'm also happy to share a couple new faces, newer members of the C2P family. So these gentlemen are from offices that are following our career path to a T. They're new to C2P, they're recently out of college, they're starting their careers with us. So why don't I pass it to each of you to just introduce yourselves, share with us your name, your role, the office you're from, how your office is set up, and maybe let's have James go ahead and start if you're ready.
All right. Hi, everyone. My name is James DeLucia. I'm a client service associate following the C2P advisor path at Quest Capital and Risk Management here in Long Island, New York. The way I actually came across Quest Capital was by cold calling local firms in order to get some internship experience during my junior year of college. I knew that the financial industry was where I wanted to be. And fortunately, Joe had respected my ambition and the fact that I was a college wrestler. And he decided to onboard me as an intern during that summer. And then just this past year, which was my senior year of college, he had offered me a full-time position as a CSA at Quest Capital. And thankfully, I had accepted that position. And I know in the same situation as Jonathan is in, a particularly interesting part of my story is that I am the first person right out of college to go through the advisor path with Joe and Marie. So we're all really excited to see how this plays out. And I'm really grateful to be a part of a hardworking and hungry entrepreneurial team. And I just do what I can every day to contribute as much as possible and move as quickly, as efficiently as I can along the advisor rungs.
Well, yeah, hungry team. I mean, cold calling offices and local places to intern, that's hungry for sure. So obviously a great fit there. Very good. Thank you. All right. How about you, Jonathan?
Hi, everyone. My name is Jonathan Medina. I actually graduated at Bridgewater State University back in May. In one of my classes, I was actually going around interviewing small businesses. Like James, I was interested in being a financial advisor, so I wanted to know how a financial advisor would run their small business. I ran into Steve over here at Delello Wealth Management, and everything went great. We ended up interviewing together because he was just looking to hire somebody. And so I joined about 2 months ago as a client service associate as well. So here at the firm, it's a pretty nice firm. It's the founder and president, Steve Delello, investment advisor and life insurance professional, Cheryl Bush. And then it's me and another client service associate, Kirsty and Prescia. So it's been great starting out and just going through the rungs that way.
Very good. Yes, very, very good. And we definitely appreciate Joe and Steve for sharing you guys with us today. So thanks to the two of you. And Carl, let's just kick things off. Why don't you share with us some of the challenges that you frequently hear from office owners on getting their team up to speed?
Well, first and foremost, I want to say that you two guys are very fortunate to be with the offices that you're with, and to be in an atmosphere that has processes already in place. The biggest challenges that I see with the advisors out there, especially entrepreneurs, has been how do I find the right associate advisor, or how do I hire an associate from an organization? And of course, the processes are there, but you can also go to the LMS and a teamwork movement, things of that nature. I got to give a shout out to the mentors also. The mentors are tied in as subject matter experts for the LMS. So you can find the mentor that will help you go through that. But those are the biggest challenges. Biggest mistake I find that advisors do is they'll start a course, they'll get halfway, 3/4 through it, think they're done, then they want to move on to the next one. Finish it, get your certification, get all that stuff completed before you move to the next.
That's great and very helpful advice. You're right, Carl. I feel like sometimes resources are pulled from the courses or it's completed partially, and it's definitely, there's tidbits even at the end. So that's great advice. So James, Jonathan, why don't you share with us, you're obviously new to this, new to C2P, new to your offices, new to the business as a whole. Why don't you share with us what courses on C2P Central that you've used and what you found most helpful?
So yeah, initially I started out, I wanted to point out too, they showed me the rung ladders, client service associate, paraplan and everything like that. So it was nice to see that overview, and then went into C2P Central, was guided by Cheryl and Bob Sawyer as well. So going through the courses, they started off with the bucket plan, the PCA courses, the no NIGO PCA forms course, which I feel like that one was definitely the most important one to me, at least, to see the master list of the forms and everything. Helped me introduce myself into the job a little bit better, get familiar with what to use with what client and stuff like that for certain circumstances. And then dove into it more, like the family estate organizer, pyramid of risk. So everything was good because I was getting bits and pieces of everything everywhere, and then going deeper into depth as I went on.
Jonathan, without the processes that you've seen, how long do you think it would have taken you to get to where you are today? And how effective have been the processes to help get you where you are?
I think they were very effective just because of the setup itself. You go into C2P Central and it was like my courses were right there. And then you had each kind of overview step by step right there. So it was easy to follow in that sense, and made it easier when it came to note taking as well, just because it was already broken up into sections for you.
Okay, very good. How about you, James?
So I was in a unique position, having interned at Quest Capital and knowing in January of this year that I was going to start full time as a client service associate in June. Elaine was able to release me all the courses I need, and I was actually able to take Bucket Plan 1, Bucket Plan 2, and Tax Management Journey virtually. And this was huge for me and huge for our firm because obviously as an intern, I was exposed to a lot of things. I was exposed to the bucket plan. I had always read some of the articles that Joe and Marie have written on Roth conversions, but looking at these courses, and even in a virtual sense, really just helped me dive deeper. And by no means am I any sort of financial expert. I'm far from that at this stage in my career. but it's allowing me to speak the language that Joe and Marie speak. And when I sit in on an annual review or listen to an exploratory call, I believe that if this wasn't the case, I would be somewhat clueless. But now 2 months into starting with Quest Capital, I can really, speak the same language as them. So I'm grateful for that. And also during Bucket Plan 1, they had mentioned Sandler's techniques, and I had spoken with Joe about that and how I was interested. He directed me towards a book, Don't Teach a Kid to Ride a Bike, at a seminar. I've read that ever since. And that really shaped the way that I speak to and deal with every single prospect that I, have conversations with ever since I read that book. And that's one of the most valuable resources. And without C2P's bucket plan training, I would have never got exposed to it. And I don't know if Joe would have mentioned that to me right away or thought to mention that to me right away.
Very good. A lot of times we're asked, why do we have to recertify every year on the bucket plan and the 1.0, 2.0, and some of the other things? It's because the LMS it's not static. We're always redeveloping and adding new things to it. And I mean, I look back to when we first started with the bucket plan and building it to where we are today. It amazes me how much change that we have made. So, I get a lot of advisors on call said, why do I have to go back through this again? Why do I have to recertify? And that's the reason for it, is because of the innovation. Jason is an innovator, and he's built a team of innovators that are always looking for what's the next best, greatest way that we can come up with, like the NIGO. That's brand new. I mean, that's less than a year old. Spent a lot of time researching that and figuring out, where the glitches were. And without that type of process, there's a lot of mistakes that can be made. So, I'm gonna give a kudos to our training team. They're one of the best in the world as far as putting all this stuff together.
That's a great point, Carl, and I'm really glad you brought it up. And you mentioned the No NIGO course, which we just noticed a trend at PCA. Well, we're seeing consistently the same things, and obviously no one wants, NIGOs aren't good for anyone. So that warranted creation of a course. So I would just implore all of you on the call, if you see something that would make sense for us to develop a course, that's why we're here. We're the learning division. We want to educate. So if there's something that just could be better or something that you need direction or advice, just, reach out to Elaine, Aaron, me, whomever, and we'll make it work. So side note there. And I know that James and Jonathan mentioned a couple of courses like Bucket Plan 1.0, the Family Estate Organizer, PCA Learning Center has that No NIGO, and those are really good for preparing for client meetings and then post meeting. There's also a few I'd like to call out that are really beneficial for team members. Tons of marketing. If you have a team member that handles marketing for you, we have several programs within the LMS that staff member could tap into and utilize to run marketing successfully. There's right fit client calls, family succession plan, a plan design training, and then also how to read and understand a tax return. So those are some others that I just want to highlight. If you do have team members that are supporting and in that capacity, those would be beneficial as well. So let's go back to James and Jonathan, and I'll start with James. I feel like I'm going to forget whose turn it is, but James, did you have any type of learning plan, or how did you decide what courses to take first? Or do you have any recommendations for people as they embark on this type of journey?
So really the way that my learning process was structured was pretty much based off of Joe and Marie's experience, along with some cooperation from Elaine, who, like I said, was able to open those courses for me early. And Joe and Marie have taken a lot of courses offered by C2P, and they plan on taking them again in the future. So they really just helped me find the courses that were right for me. They opened tons of courses, and I really was able to sort through them and decide along with them which ones I should take first. And we really felt that bucket plan 1, 2, and tax management journey, along with plan design training, the virtual advisor, would just be some courses that I could take to help be able to advance the position of our firm in order to contribute in certain ways and in order to just better myself as an advisor. And yeah, so I plan on taking those once again, like I said, once virtually and then once in person. And I really just hope to get the absolute most out of them as I can. And then along with that, we are implementing certain ed slot materials. And I really, like I said, try to read a book, like a book a week along with the C2P material. So I'm really just trying to learn on, from all angles.
That's awesome. A book a week. That's a great idea too. Do you have any other book recommendations besides the Teach a Kid to the Bike seminar one?
Well, yeah, that one was amazing. And then currently I'm reading some ed slot material. But other than that, I'm really just going off of Joe's recommendations. I mean, he throughout the years has read some amazing books and really some that he's told me, could really impact my career and my life. So, as those recommendations come along, I'll be happy to pass them on. And, but for now, those two have been great so far.
Perfect. Very good. Very good. What about you, Jonathan? Learning path, did you have a certain plan or similar or different, or share with us your experience with that?
Yeah. No, I mean, honestly, it was pretty similar to James. It was mostly based off of my supervising advisor, Cheryl. So, and then also got some feedback from our advisor service manager, Bob Sawyer. Just was like, oh, hey, she was actually the one that recommended the no NIGO as well. And Cheryl was based off her experience and everything. And then some input from Steve as well, where it came in and it was just like, hey, why not this one as well? So throughout there, we came together and picked and chose and found a great path. So, I mean, everything's been great. I feel like the bucket plan 1.0 was like that's where I started and it worked out perfectly, get the interview overview and then advance of it. And then from there, go on into different areas and sections.
Good. Makes sense.
Well-
Yes, and that's the beauty of the way that the LMS is set up. You can pick and choose the order based on what you're looking to do. If you're supporting advisors by preparing for meetings or whatnot, you can absolutely follow that 1.0 process. If you're jumping in with PCA paperwork, that no NIGO is really, really critical. So there's, definitely different options and routes to take. So very good. Let's bounce back to Carl. So I know we alluded to this earlier, and we mentioned art. What about mentors? Is offices are looking to grow and bring on new team members like the gentleman we have with us today? Can you recommend any mentors who would help with that, or anything along the lines of developing teams like that?
Yeah, absolutely. I'll jump into that. As a young advisor just coming in or joining an organization, learn all of the facets of the organization, all the way from the director of first impressions, meeting people, to paraplanning, to doing all the things, because you don't want to just focus on one issue. You want to get good at what you really want to do, but you really need to understand how the office operates and what the people in the office do, so that you can understand what's going on. We have tons of great mentors. Gina Pellegrini is one of the best that you're going to ever work with. She can help you with setting up your calendars and understanding the processes for dealing with people and clients and whatnot. I've seen some really good advisors come on board, but they're like a doctor with no bedside manners. You need to understand how to talk to your client. And if you're having issues, or your potential client, if you're having issues with that, Gina can help you with that. She can help you with the phone situations and how to get a client to respond on the telephone. Mary Sturck's another great one for practice management and understanding your calendar and setting up, your days. We've already mentioned Art. Art's been invaluable, helping a bunch that's already on this call and finding the right individuals and interviewing them and getting, where they need to go. I've got to give a big shout out to Greg Hammer. Greg's one of our most utilized advisors. And for y'all that don't know, Greg's office is on line to do 100 million this year. They did over 80 million. That's in new assets under advisement. That's huge. And Greg is still willing. I was looking at his calendar the other day. He's got, he's always got 10 or 12 spots a week that he's willing to spend 30 minutes with somebody to help walk them through some of the challenges, that they're having. I mean, I can't list them all, but every one of them has a specific idea or a specific way. The J.L. Smith group, we have Chad Weigel, we have Gary Pelfrey can help you with right fit calls. And I got a call the other day. Actually, it was with Joe Overfield and said, can you help me with swab? And I said, no, I can't because I don't know enough about swab, but let me tell you who can, So if you call me, I can usually send you to the right person to get you back on track and where you really need to go, with those type of things. So I hope that helped a little bit. I mean, I could go through every one of the mentors that's on there. So they're subject matter experts. But if you go to Mentor Connect and you look at the specializations, you can pick one or two, mentors that is in that specialization group, or you can go directly to the advisor and figure out, on the subject matter, what their expertise is.
Yeah, Carl is a great resource and a good first stop. If you don't know where to go, Carl's a great option for that. So thank you, Art. That was nice. Okay, so James and Jonathan, we love fresh perspective. I love having people who are in team member roles sharing insights. Do you have any advice to people who would newer individuals to organizations similar to you? Do you have any advice for them or others in similar roles?
I mean, this is just something I honestly tell myself all the time there's always going to be something new to learn or a problem to solve. So just use what you have around you. I mean, clearly throughout this whole talk, we clearly have plenty of support around us. I just need to always tell myself, use it, learn how to talk to people, learn to connect, and reach out to those that offer help to you. So take advantage of that. It's something I always tell myself. So figured I'd offer it as advice.
How about you, James?
Yeah, so I touched on some of these points before, but I mean, some of my main advice would be just to be ambitious. The way we look at it in our office is that you want to compress your 10,000 hours as much as you can on your way to becoming a lead advisor. And that could be by reading some extra material, really just doing all you can to soak in everything you're learning and be able to advance yourself. I think being patient and trusting the process, as Carl said before, back a long time ago and still today, a lot of advisors start their career by just opening a phone book and calling people. And I'm very grateful to be able to be with a firm that's taking me through these, learning processes and gaining valuable information that will help me in the future to be a great advisor. And like I said, just constantly having 1 to 2 materials a week that you're reading or listening to. And that includes like the C2P podcasts. And I mean, you could listen to those at the gym, before bed, anything. And just that along with reading some books. And that's really just going to help you, excel yourself and become as efficient as possible in obtaining information and bettering yourself.
That's great. I love it. Well, our future is definitely bright based on the two of you. So thank you. And I just want to share one last thing as we wrap up here. So I have to say, you probably saw it. It's great for these two to connect and get to know each other. And I'm going to just give a little plug. In December, we're again doing our Mastermind Team Retreat, which is a team-focused event. Clearwater, December 2nd through 4th. There will be a separate team track where team members will learn from each other and have advice shared, similar to what was just shared with all of us on this call. So details coming soon, but feel free to mark your calendars. So thank you very much. And we appreciate what you do. Have a good day, everyone.
Thanks for tuning in. This podcast was brought to you by C2P, an organization whose purpose is to educate, train, grow, and support holistic financial advisors so families can achieve true prosperity. Never miss an episode by subscribing now to discover new resources and strategies. Visit c2penterprises.com to learn how we can help scale and secure your business. At the time of delivery and any subsequent publishing, information was deemed reliable, but is subject to change by the time of listening or viewing. The contents of this piece include options and projections of C2P, are subject to change, and are for informational purposes only. The information provided in this presentation is not intended to be individual investment, tax, or legal advice.